Soraya.
Hey, Jeff.
So here we are. Are you still jet lagged from our UK trip?
No, not jet lagged. Definitely not.
You got a little scratch in your voice.
Well, I brought back an uninvited visitor
Oh, you got a
from
souvenir.
Glasgow.
Oh,
From Glasgow. There's
ah,
yeah. I got La Corona.
hmm,
So it's okay. She's gone.
yeah. Good
And
riddance.
this is what's left.
Um,
A raspy voice. So you're gonna have to put up with that for a little bit.
well, hopefully you'll be 100% soon, and we'll be talking more about our adventures, hopefully real soon, and hopefully joined by a couple or a few fellow fans that we met along the way.
And some new ones, I think, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Perfect.
But
But
today's
Jeff,
episode is not that, yeah.
today we're checking off another of the unicorns from our list.
Yes.
Would
Yes.
you like to tell our listeners who is joining us today?
Yes, I most certainly will. And I'm very happy to announce that we'll be talking to this guy who is very facially haired in this picture, but I no longer so. But anyway, Sid Griffin, who we've mentioned.
Yes.
If we could count how many times we've mentioned Sid throughout our 170 plus episodes, uh, it would easily be in the double digits. We've uh, referenced him in regards to what he's written about the Paisley Underground, of course, the Long Riders, and numerous occasions. So we're very pleased to be able to speak with Sid today about this new album, September, November, in small form and large form, whatever. Um, but yeah, we're talking about their new record, September, November, which came out in March.
Yeah, March 10th to
March.
be exact. And let me just share with you a little quote from a review. And if you put off buying the new album or thought, what one more could there be? Jeff and I talked about, I saw the Long Riders. I was in January.
I thought it was late
Oh, it
2020.
was late November.
Okay, that's what I thought.
November of 2022. Forgive me. But,
September, November, whatever.
it's all flooded together. But at that time, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I've missed them so much performing. And they were just a blast and they were on fire. So when I read this quote, I go, this puts in a little nugget the essence of this new album. So this reviewer, and it was a fan review, but I like the quote so much. So, when it's easy to rehash old ideas, the Long Riders have produced an album with a more diverse set of songs than previously and with great success.
Wow.
And Jeff and I have talked about this album just before this meeting today. And we've talked about, this is a really hard sound. It's a really good rocking record. And if you write them off as, oh, they're just country. No, they're definitely alt country, but this album goes in a lot of different directions. And under the very masterful eye of Ed Stasium, I think it's such a cohesive unit and it's so worth it. And I cannot wait to talk to Sid.
Agreed. Yeah, perfect. I love that quote. Because I like to say that they really spread their wings on this one, which I think is true. But sometimes I think things and I'm not sure that everybody else is hearing or thinks the same things. But I've mentioned that to a few people, and everybody seems to agree that one, it's a fantastic record, and two, they definitely seem to be branching out a little bit in some slightly different territories and doing some new and exciting things. So I'm glad that you read that because I totally agree.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we'll have a lot more to talk about, but I think you and I can definitely say, based on what we've heard from the band and what we've read from the band, to do this album and finish it without Tom Stevens was difficult. But I think they've given us something that embodies the spirit of Long Riders and shows that there's still so much more to discover and try out. And believe me, Tom Stevens is very present in this record.
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
And yeah, but Jeff, enough gushing. Let's get started.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme,
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy.
All right, Jeff.
Get us started.
I say, let our listeners know who has graced us today with their presence.
So we are speaking today with the wonderful, great Sid Griffin that we've been wanting to talk to since we started this podcast, Soraya. So
100%.
And we have a great reason to. What?
Oh,
Nice. We got a little
you
amp
see
there.
that Fender amp right there?
So it looks like we're in the jam room, the music room, the exercise room.
All of the above.
All of the above. So we have definitely have a great reason to be talking to Sid today, and that's because this month on March 10th, the Long Riders released this great album in many different formats.
Yep.
I suggest getting them all.
Very clever.
Yes. And everybody that we've talked to, Soraya, which is probably at least a dozen people, think that this is one of the band's best releases.
Yes.
And as you were discussing in our introduction when Sid wasn't here, we definitely feel like the band is branching out and doing some new things with this album while still remaining absolutely the Long Riders. So Sid, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We thank you for this record. And we got a few questions, don't we, Soraya?
Absolutely. And I think we want to start out with, we know a few singles have come out, but talk to us a little bit about the title, September, November, and then the single, September, November, sometime. Where does that come from?
Greg titled the album. I didn't title the album. Our drummer, Greg Souders, titled here's a CD. He titled it, and it's in reference to the fact that we're in the autumn of our years, autumn of our career. Haven't quite reached the winter yet, but that's what it's about. It's like, the Sinatra album, The September of My Years, was cut when Frank Sinatra was, I think, 52 or something. And so Greg thought September, November was a good title for the album. And I didn't even know why he titled it that till he said so in an interview, another Zoom call that we were doing with someone. And so I think it's very appropriate because, we are in the autumn, perhaps late autumn of our career. So it makes a wonderful, wonderful title for the album. I think it sums things up very well.
So was the title track, well, kind of the title track, September, November, sometime. Was that already written?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the album was recorded and we were looking for a title, and Greg said, I think Steven titled the last album Psychedelic Country Soul because he said that's what it was. So I want to title this one. And I said, okay, well, if you're so smart, what's the name of it? By God, that's the name of it.
Excellent. We were talking about in the introduction how this record is so good. We definitely feel that the band is definitely not at the end of your career. We definitely feel like this music that you produced is something that's very relevant and also very good. It doesn't sound like a band that's in their winter years by any means, but you're not young whippersnappers anymore. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure. We're not the new kids on the block, but there were 3 songs that were finished for this album. We were thinking about doing a 2 LP set, a double album, but the record label Cherry Red said they just weren't interested in a double album, so we stopped. But there's 2 of my songs I'm very proud of, and there's a song of Stevens, and then there's the Down to the Well, which has never been on an album, and there's Tom Stevens' song A Bear in the Woods, which has never been on an album. So that's 5 songs right there. So when it comes down to it, we recorded 6 more songs.
Wow.
You have a Long Riders album. So who knows, maybe we'll do an EP kind of thing and then put them all together. I would like that because the 2 songs of mine that are in the can I'm very proud of. They're really good. We had a very fruitful time with Ed Stasium last July. So, there's, like I said, there's 3 songs that didn't make the album. They're real good.
Wow, it could have been a double. Could have been your London
Yeah,
call.
I wanted to keep going, make it. In fact, there was an instrumental of mine besides the song for Ukraine that we didn't get to that I wanted to record. And Ed was, we were working Ed Stasium's Derriere off. So I said, okay, well, we'll drop the second instrumental. And then I was speaking to Cherry Red and they said, look, we just don't want there's no market right now for a Long Riders 2 LP set. So, okay, that was the end of that idea.
Understood. Yeah, that makes sense. And Sid, I was doing a little bit of research, and
Go on.
Ed Stasium you've worked with him on a couple of albums, including the 2019 Psychedelic Country Soul, which I've got here with a little glare on it, so you look kind of like a ghost in this version. But so Ed Stasium's probably a 20 minutes south of where I am, in North San Diego, specifically Poway.
Poway.
Yes, yeah. So obviously you guys like working with Ed, and the results are clearly evident, like how great he is with you guys.
Well, he's definitely the I should say fifth long rider, but now that Tom's gone, he's the fourth long rider. But yeah, he's definitely pretty much a member of the band. I wish we'd have met Ed earlier on than when we did meet him for Two Fisted Tales. I wish we'd have met him even earlier. He's a great guy. We work really well with him, and on a personal level, we're very close with him. Very close.
Great. And you like his setup in Poway? It's a comfortable place.
We've recorded with Ed. We recorded Two Fisted Tales at A&M in a very formal, back when the record industry was really the record industry and there was a lot of money being sloshed around. And then we recorded Psychedelic Country Soul at Dr. Dre's place called Record One, or Record One, I guess they'd call it, in Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley. And now we've recorded at Ed's house. But of course, his house is pretty spacious. And he's got so much recording equipment and knowledge of the industry. I mean, not knowledge of the industry, but that too, but certainly the knowledge of how to make a record that, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, I had a a bluegrass thing called the Cole Porters, and we recorded an album with Ed. So I've recorded with Ed a lot longer than Greg or Steven have. I've had another like 3 weeks with the guy. And he mixed the Cole Porters album before the album he produced. He mixed that one. So I have a long history with Ed. Ed says the only guy that's worked with him more than me are the Hoodoo Gurus. I think he's done 6 albums with the Hoodoo Gurus.
Oh, wow. Nice.
But he's an amazing guy. I mean, and he's a good musician himself. So on so many levels, he's the right guy for us.
Nice. Very nice. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he took you to Petco Park to see the Padres.
No, he wouldn't go. He's not a sports guy.
Oh, okay.
He stayed at home. He's not a sports guy at all.
All right. Well, that's my team, Sid. So
we had a great day.
Excellent.
There's that picture on the inside of the album. It was just a great day at the ballpark. A lovely ballpark.
It's amazing. Sorry, Soraya. I know you're a Dodger fan, but
that's okay. You know, Sid and I can talk other sports too, because he's a Kentucky fan and I'm a UCLA fan, and but anyways, I had another question, Sid, for you. So, and please correct me if I'm wrong. The album started with Tom, and unfortunately, Tom Stevens passed, and we were curious what made the three of you decide the time is right to come back and finish.
Well, we hadn't started with Tom.
Okay, thank you for correcting.
We did Psychedelic Country Soul, full stop, and there was the vague idea that we want to do another album, and we'll get it together at some time. And Tom unexpectedly died, and it took a year to the day from Tom's death to the day it was released for us to do one song. I do not recommend recording down the phone line. We did record Tom, the song that Stephen and Greg largely wrote, Tom, down the phone line. COVID was on, as you both well know, and there was no way to get together. But that might work for Nile Rodgers and a lot of people that are, studio boffins, even Prince or something, or many kind of modern acts. But I mean, for guys like us, or a jazz band or a country and western band, any kind of band that's a relatively small ensemble, or maybe even a larger ensemble, I think you should be in the same room. I mean, the great John Coltrane records. I was listening to My Favorite Things by John Coltrane, which is one of my favorite records. And McCoy Tyner, as I've often brought up, makes a mistake on the piano, and it's because it's never been corrected. It's he hits a bad note, and then he immediately goes up, and and it's just because they're all in the same room, so they didn't correct it. Probably maybe in 64, 65 you couldn't. I don't know, but the point is, they're organically reacting to each other. You got a drummer reacting to a saxophonist reacting to a keyboardist reacting to the bass guy on the Doghouse double bass, and you just can't beat that feel. I mean, on All My Lovin', McCartney hits a bad error on the bass, and what is it? There's a couple of Birds ones, I think. Keep saying no to her. Why by Crosby. Hillman hits, I think, a duff note, and it's just, but you can't, to correct that note. It's not really worth it relative to the glory of the rest of the track. The way the track interacts and hangs together as a solid unit, you can't beat that. So I don't recommend recording the Long Riders recording Down the Phone Line ever again.
So with Tom's passing, we noticed that he is in the credits for September, November.
He's on the record.
Yeah. So how does that happen if you didn't record until after his passing?
Because Tom, behind me there's some CDs, and Tom put out something like 4 solo albums on cassette or vinyl, and then on vinyl or CD, and then I think it was an EP and a kind of a hodgepodge collection on cassette. So he's more or less got, if you added and then the individual songs that he gave to this label or whatever for those assorted various artist tracks, Tom more or less has about not quite 6 full albums out. So when he died, I thought, he got Tom on the record, but why not have Tom on the record? And I got the brilliant idea. I listened to all his stuff because I've got all his records, and I saved the 2 cassettes. And I listened to the 4 albums, and I pulled I think it was 6 songs that were the most Long Rider friendly, most Long Rider-ish.
Okay. And
I gave them to Stephen, Greg, and Ed Stasium, and said, which one of these can we record for the album? And have a Tom tribute. And Ed Stasium, I think it was, came back and said, not only can we record one of these, they all picked the same song, by the way. Not only can we record one of these, I think we can save Tom. If you give me the files, I can save Tom's bass and vocals. So Tom's from the album Home, which was on Avebury Records, we got Flying Out of London in the Rain, the last track of the album, and we saved Tom's vocal, and we saved Tom's bass part. His daughter, Sarah Catherine, is going, ah! That's her high part. So we took the rest of the files and got rid of it. So whoever played drums on the files, you replaced. Greg played drums. Stephen did, I think, a couple of guitar passes. I can't remember if I played guitar in it or not. I think I did. And I played mandolin on it. And I did something else. Doesn't matter. So it was lovely. The album ended with Tom on it. I think we make another record. He'll be on it if we include Bear in the Woods, which I hope we make another record, and I hope we include that song. But this was different. This is us recording with him again. It is a bit Free as a Bird by the Beatles, recording behind John Lennon, but a little more legitimate than that, because Free as a Bird was a demo that was a cassette the Fab Four got from Yoko. I mean, this is an out-and-out, properly recorded record. And I can't even remember who played the parts on his solo album. Anyway, it's called Home, and it is, in my opinion, the best of Tom's solo albums. But there's one other thing I want to interject, is I gave them 6 songs and said, pick a Tom one we can do. And they all picked Flying Out of London in the Rain. Ed picked it, Greg picked it, Stephen picked it. And the point of that story is it's Tom's song about leaving the Long Riders in 1987, which precipitated our falling apart. We struggled on without him for I don't know what, not even 6 months, and then just called it a day. So it's an interesting song in that the song they picked, which I'm sure they didn't know, was literally about him getting on the plane after a June tour of Europe and realizing, I don't want to be in this band anymore. I want to spend time with my young family, which is fair enough. So they really picked the right song. It's a very poignant song for us because it's a Long Rider that's no longer with us singing about no longer being in the Long Riders. It's pretty damn ironic, pretty damn beautiful, and very poignant.
Absolutely. So, Sid, I'm a sucker for sequencing in albums. I'm definitely an album guy versus a single guy. How did the sequencing come for this? Was it band decision, ed decision, label decision?
Well, we all toss it around, and I think Greg said, I want September, November to be first, which surprised me. And I'm pleased so many people like the September, November Sometime song, because I didn't think it was as good as the two songs of mine that are still in the can that I mentioned at the top of this interview. So once we got there, I think we all agreed Seasons Change was next. And Flying Down, it's probably my favorite song on the album. It's Ed Stasium's. He said it's his favorite song on the album. We all love that song a lot, and it sort of just, came together from there. I know Greg is keen on the new Don Was Not Was, thinking of you have to put the first four songs as strong as possible, as user friendly as possible, because a lot of people, statistics show, apparently don't get to the rest of the record. But I listen to most albums as a solid annuity. I go from A to Z, as they say in Britain. And so I listen to the whole thing. I don't have a complaint. I would cry if I heard that people were pulling it out after the fifth song, Hand of Fate, not listening to the rest of the album. That would break my heart. I mean, I don't think there's a clunker on it. There's certainly, a couple of songs I might like slightly less than the others, but that's the story of every album. But certainly I don't think there's a bad song on this record. And as of today, I found out it's out of stock at the label. They've sold everything. They've got to repress both vinyl and repress the CD.
Wow, congratulations.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it's not life changing, but it's a big deal. In a small world, it's a big deal. Yeah.
Especially in today's time with how the music industry is and how purchases are being made, to sell out on physical product is a big deal these days.
Yeah, because didn't it come out the 10th, and where are we now? The 27th. Yeah. So 2 weeks and 3 days, it's gone, or 2 weeks and 2 days, it's gone. They're pressing up the CD already, and the order for the LPs I think went in today. So I'm really, I can't complain.
No, and the reviews, and it's even charting, Sid. So everything that we've heard, even and read, so the reviews have all been favorable. And personally, and in our circle and with our listenership, everybody has only positive things to say. Am I right, Soraya?
Yeah. The reviews are all speaking to how this is really a interesting, and it's like a powerful voice moving forward for the band. So Jeff and I
think it's, who knows, but I think at the end of the day it may prove to be our best record. Who knows? But I have a sneaking suspicion it's our best album. Who knows? But I have no complaints. I wish more people knew about it, because everyone that hears it loves it. But I mean, we're not in the hard copy world anymore. I have Green Party friends who always tell me that, hard copy is past and we should stream. It's better for the environment. And I can dig that, but it's just, I don't know. There's something about hard copies that I like, be they vinyl, CD, or cassette. And the other thing on a selfish level, I must say that running out of stock worries me, because we're in this, as you two know, and most of your listeners know, there's a multiplicity of charts out there now. And in one chart, we're number 2. And in one chart, we're number 3. In another official chart, we're number 4. On Amazon, I think we're number 2 in sales. It goes by the hour. But the point is, we're not going to hit number 1 if they're out of stock. So I'm very pleased that the record sold as well as it has. However, if there's no stock at the label, I'm thinking, oh no, we're going to get to 2, 3, and 4, and then go backwards.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to.
We want to have that chant. We're number 1. We're number 1. Oops, where's the camera? There's the camera.
Easy. And we wanted to know about the decision to bring in Murray Hammond. to help out on a couple of tracks.
Greg was taken to dinner by Tom DeSavia. Tom DeSavia is the guy that, with John Doe, does those wonderful books on LA rock history. And I got a chapter in the last one, a little plug for myself. And they went to Musso and Frank's, and DeSavia said, I'm going to introduce you to your new bass player. This is Murray Hammond. And Murray is the bass player that, for want of a better phrase, is taking Tom's place. I feel weird saying that because Elaine Stevens might see this, and Elaine knows I love her to pieces. That's Tom's wife. But, you can't take Tom's place. But as long as Murray Hammond can balance being in the Long Riders and his original band, that's his, primary love, the old 97s, then he's our bass player. I suspect if we keep playing for another 2 years, 3 years, which I certainly hope we do, we're not young, that Murray will be there. But I imagine if we do play 2, 3, 4 years, there may become a time when Murray's old 97s want his action and the Long Riders want his musicality, and we have to go get somebody else. So I don't know who we get then, but certainly Murray's a great guy. I originally put forth Nikki Steele from the Bangles, but she was kind of not available. I mean, I don't want to say not available, but she was maybe mildly interested, but that I would have loved if Mickey had done it. But I can't complain about Murray, you two. He's just a sweetheart, a good singer, real good bass player, and just a sweet guy. I mean, Murray, like my son Noah, my wife and I always say my son Noah doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He's the sweetest little boy ever. Murray doesn't have a bad bone in his body. Really doesn't.
And he seems to be a good fit. Soraya was at the show in November when I was in North Carolina, and she said the show was fantastic and that he just seemed to be a really good fit on stage.
I remember when Barry Shank, the guy that wrote Ivory Tower, was playing bass for us. He wanted to move to Austin and go back to university. And towards the end of his tenure with us, some of his friends, of course, came to the show in LA. This is like summer 82 or spring 1982, and said that now that the band has shifted somewhat towards a sort of the Clash play country sound,
like
Barry was very much a power pop guy with like Big Star and Badfinger and that kind of crowd, that Barry didn't fit anymore. And I know now that I look back at some of the photographs and things, I know what they mean. And I know what you mean about Murray Hammond. Sometimes some people just fit, and sometimes they don't, in terms of their personality, in terms of the way they look on stage, in terms of the way they dress, in terms of the way they interact. Sometimes you got a really shy guy and you have 3 extroverts, or the other way around, and it looks weird. And it's like a relationship. I mean, you can have 2 people that are both interested in the Paisley Underground or basketball, or you can have 2 people that are both interested in hieroglyphics and Egyptian history. And if they don't click, it doesn't matter that couple is interested in the same things. You have to sort of click somewhere along the line to get a relationship going, be it musical or personal or romantic, I dare say. And we definitely click with Murray.
Yeah, it definitely shows in the recordings. So we should mention that he plays on 3 of the songs on the album, tracks 2, 3, and 4, right? So Seasons Change, Flying Down.
I don't know. You'd have to look at the credit. I think he plays on the stuff that's in the can, because he played on at least 5 songs.
Okay, yeah.
He
So
didn't play on 3. He definitely played on at least 5 songs, and then Steve played on some. The only regret I really have about this package is Murray's picture should be in it. That was a mistake. I didn't think about it, and then when I got it and flipped through it at home, I thought, that's a shame. We should have had Murray's mug on there. He's such a nice guy.
And there are pictures of the band with Murray through in the desert. I think I've seen a couple pictures, probably you guys or something. So those pictures exist.
They're around, and pictures of us on stage. You can go on YouTube and see clips of us playing with Murray. So it's not like there aren't, but I just, in the package, it would have been nice to have him there, because it is the one thing that a lot of my friends say. It is sad. Where's that? There it is. It is sad to see 3 people on the cover. It's sad. It's, it was a 4-piece band forever, and now there's just 3 guys on the cover. That is sad, but such is life.
Yeah. And so in the photographs, there's this guy right here. very covered with facial hair.
Yeah,
I love that look, Sid. I love it. What
well,
happened?
my wife and kids got tired of it, so after I think I had it 10 months, and I shaved it. It's funny because I realized going back to the Unclaimed EP, which funny enough, today I saw 2 Unclaimed EPs at got friends' houses. It's weird in one day. And I just realized basically I'm an older Sid Griffin. Every couple of years I put out a record. So I thought I wanted to change my look. So I didn't want to shave my head or dye my hair pink. And so I grew a beard, and I had it for about 10 months. But finally my wife and kids said no. So I had to get rid. I didn't have to get rid of it, but they were certainly passively aggressively seeking its shave.
I completely understand in my personal situation, but I loved the look, Sid. That was a great look.
Thank you.
So I wanted to talk about a couple of songs. Like you, if I'm sad to hear that there could possibly be people that don't make it, just in general, listening to records, don't make it past the first 4 tracks, because there's, like you mentioned, a lot of these are great tracks, but one of my favorites is To the Manor Born. That track has so much soul in it, and I think that's one of those things where one of the reasons why I feel the band really branched out and did some new things. I mean, that song has some soul to it, and after the chorus, there's that dun 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 dun. That part is just fantastic. I love it. And then you've got Country Blues, and then That's What They Say About Love, which to me has that cool feel. I mean, you've done things kind of like that before, but it really feels like the band was branching out here.
I am of the opinion that when we did the Sirius XM Outlaw Country Cruise, I was amazed how many bands dressed in black with country and western clothing in black, particularly the men, over and over and over. Black shirt, black boots, black Levi's, and the shirt would have country and western piping on, and the opposite, roses or playing cards or dice or whatever, or a cacti with a wagon wheel. And I was amazed how many of the bands dressed alike. And the other thing was this concept of rocking out. I mean, the Long Riders, how many times have we proven live or in the studio we can rock out? I mean, we've done that. It's like beating this horse that's long deceased. So I was in the forefront of saying, let's have different instruments and a different approach, because after you've rocked out with Seasons Change and Elmer Gantry, God, come on. So we have our first instrumental and Song for Ukraine. We have our first overtly bluesy song with Country Blues Kitchen.
Great song.
The swing, the almost Grappelli, Django Reinhardt swing of That's What They Say About Love, Until God Takes Me Away, kind of, to me, I thought it was Blackbird by the Beatles, and now I realize it's more like Lindsey Buckingham backing up Stevie Nicks on one of those Landslide or one of those kind of tracks, and just expand it, because we have done what we've done. I mean, I don't really feel the need to keep churning out these pounding rockers. Obviously, they'll be on the next record as well, but I just feel like we've done that. So let's bring out the mandocello. Let's bring out the mandolin. Let's bring out the banjo. Let's do an instrumental. Let's do a blues. Let's have Carenza Peacock play fiddle. Let's have DJ Bonebreak of X play the vibes. I mean, and I'm pleased to say that seems to be, as you've pointed out just then, a lot of people like that. Very pleased that side, or that experiment, whatever you want to call it, has worked.
Yeah. I reckon it to the Beatles' White Album.
Me too.
The band doesn't sound like the Beatles, but it's got that kind of vibe where there's a lot going on, but it's still cohesive at the same time, which is something very difficult to pull off, to have a variety of things, but still fit into the same project. And you guys did it master.
I call it a White Album approach too. I know that on some Steven's in the 4 and the one song Tom's in the 4, and some I'm slightly in the 4, but it just, I think it was the right move at the right time. I really think it's the right move at the right time. And I'm hoping the next album, which has Bear of the Woods, which kicks some butt, Down to the Well, which kicks some butt, the 2 songs of mine, one of which is, it's mid-tempo. It's not really a butt kicker, and blah, blah. Anyway, I'm hoping we'll do more of this. I mean, not the same, but more. I mean, like have 4 or 5 pounding butt kickers, but that's enough. We don't need 12 of them. We've done that. We've done that. We've done that.
So we can say this record is very dynamic for sure. So
Yeah, it's dynamic and it's different. And as Greg says, it's a grown-ups record. We're not kids anymore. When you're a young guy, you write these silly lyrics that as you age, they don't last. We don't have many sexist, misogynistic lyrics at all, thank God.
There's always time. You got
But
plenty
yeah,
of time.
I mean, in the horrible Trump world we live in, there's always time to be something stupid. But we don't have those kind of lyrics, and I'm really proud of that. But there are a few lyrics in the early days I only a young man would write. And now I think it's like Nick Lowe. Nick Lowe's last few solo records are terrific. Or Crosby's last few solo records, the late David Crosby. They're all based on I'm an old guy now, my hair's gray, and I don't want to like force myself into leather trousers and be what I was at age 24. And that's certainly what I was saying to the band, and which I'm very proud to say, I think they were right. I didn't have to convince anybody. They were right with me.
As a fan, I want to say thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a great approach. And Soraya, it looks like we only have a couple minutes left. Is there anything that you wanted to say before we wrap up, before Zoom closes out our session?
I mean, Sid said it perfectly, but that was one of the observations I had is the writing on this album is so strong. And when I look at the albums where you're credited, September, November, Sometime, Flying Down, Elmer Gantry is Alive and Well, Song for Ukraine, That's What They Say About Love, Tom Tom, and Until God Takes Me Away. You take us through this whole breadth of meditations on life. And all the songs on this album do that. And they take us from, hey, I'm thinking about looking ahead and wondering about, after I'm gone, what's left. But also what matches the beauty of the words is the beauty of the music. So when you bring in the mandolin, when you bring in all the fiddle and everything, it just takes me into another place. And I can't thank the band enough for that.
I wish I could turn this around. I better not. There's a banjo there. There's a 12-string acoustic there. There's a mandolin there. There's an acoustic guitar, a Les Paul, and a Stratocaster there. The rooms, and there's an amp there, and there's an amp that I held up earlier. And I just feel like, why can't they all be on the record? I do love the electric guitar. I play the electric guitar every day, but why can't they be all on the record? When we have more to say than just pound, 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 4/4 time. And I don't know. I can only sum it up by saying we're painting from a wider palette, from a greater spread and choice of colors than we've ever painted before. And I think it suits us. I think it suits us well. I'm so pleased we did it.
Absolutely.
And we are too.
Yes.
We are too.
Great. Well, thank you all. This is very kind.
So if our audience wants to buy the record, since these are no longer available from the distributor, what?
Oh, they're in the shops, and they're in the one stops where they can get it.
Okay.
It's not the label has none, and the stocks are dwindling. You can still get on Amazon or the Cherry Red website and find it, and you can still go to Freak Beat Records in the San Fernando Valley and find it, and Midnight Records in Manhattan and find it. They're still around, but we're having to press up more, and it's a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah, so let this be a warning to our audience. Get it now. Don't wait, because there may be a gap when it's unavailable. So
yes.
Press it number 1.
Yes. Yes.
And I also wanted to ask Sid, for fans, especially in Europe, we know that there are a few dates coming up in Europe. Where can they go to find the most updated information?
You can go to tour. Long Ryders have a website, and Sid Griffin has a website, and the 2 pages are updated identically. There's ticket links on both longryders.com and sidgriffin.com. You look under tour dates. There's ticket links. You can buy tickets now for the tour. It starts May 18th in Leamington Spa, and then the next gig is London, and they're selling really well. I mean, that live thing, it doesn't bother me at all. They're selling really well. I'm hoping we'll see you all in summer when we play some American dates, maybe with Peter Case on board. I hope. That's the plan. And then we play in October in Europe again for about 3.5, 4 weeks in October. So
Beautiful.
that's the plan right now.
Great.
Okay.
We hope to catch you there.
Absolutely. Somewhere, either in Europe or in the US. You never
Well,
know.
I think I hope the American dates we're having. I don't know what's going on, but I hope you don't have to fly to Europe again to see the show. You ought to be able to see in your backyard.
That would be nice.
Yes. So I think, Jeff, Sid, we can't thank you enough. The wonderful
That's
Sid
great.
Griffin for joining us today, talking about this amazing album, which go get it.
Yes.
Make them go number one.
It's a
Yeah.
trip.
It is a trip. Oh my gosh.
It's a trip. You got to get a record. It's a trip.
See, there you go. Thank
Thank you all so
very
much because we are proud of it. We really are.
As you
Thank
should
you.
be. Thank you, Sid. We really appreciate it. And we hope to talk to you soon, at least for the next record.
Anytime. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, I'm a self-centered guy in my own sweet way. I love talking about music, and when it's my music, even better.
Perfect. Thank you, Sid. We really appreciate it.
Take care.
All right.
Bye, you all.
Bye-bye. Wow, Soraya. Sid Griffin.
Woo!
Do you think he's
Look.
pleased with this record?
I think Sid may be a little pleased with this record,
We are too.
but let's be honest. I love hearing Sid Griffin talk about his craft. We talk to a lot of musicians who love what they do. Sid Griffin is one more of those guys. And I just like to hear him talk about it.
Yeah. And as he mentioned at the end, I don't know if we were still recording, but one thing I like about Sid Griffin, he's definitely a music fan.
Yes.
So I love to hear when people that love music create music themselves, but also appreciate other artists or the form, right? Just
Right.
music in general. Ronnie and I met for lunch yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about that. And I'm a little bit of a Swiftie. Which started with Taylor Swift folklore. But one thing that I always liked about her, she's a huge music fan, and Sid Griffin is the same way. Just like you saw the backdrop that he had in his exercise jam room, all those CDs, and he's just a fan of music, and it's great to hear when people like that make music. So I really enjoyed.
He's a good student of music too, because as he was, pulling facts about different albums and different songs, to me, I was just in awe. I'm like, for a guy that's listened to hours and hours and hours, I mean, days, weeks, months of music, and to still be able to remember, oh, that song and this little bit right here. I find it fascinating. Jeff, I want to go back to your question about the sequencing for a second.
Okay.
Because I think this album has a very curious order, and curious in the sense that it really makes sense. Because like Sid said, September, November sometimes comes out and it's hard. It's a hard rocking tune. And then we end with, a very meditative, a reflective song by Tom Stevens, with a new orchestration, new arrangement, new orchestration behind it. But we have Tom speaking his voice and flying out of London. And so it starts high energy and then it ends on this very meditative note. And I thought it was so interesting that it's Tom's voice that closes this album.
Yeah.
And even more interesting is what Sid told us. And he said, hey, there are 2 songs that didn't make it here that are Tom's. And our hope is that he'll be part of, whatever that next release would be, whether it be an EP or be an LP.
Yes.
So I find that sort of brotherhood, that bandhood, very encouraging isn't the right word. It's very loving. He's still here. He's still part of us. His voice is still a part of this band. And to highlight that, I think is really beautiful.
Indeed.
And that was something that that was an adjective I kept coming back to. This song is really beautiful. These words are beautiful. As I've been listening to this album, they go in a lot of directions, and it all makes sense. It's not like scattered, you know? And when I think about that sequencing, you know, I don't know whether to tip my hat to Greg, Steven, and Sid, or to tip my hat to Ed, or to all of them.
All of them, yeah.
Because it's a very cohesive album, tracks 1 through 12.
Agreed.
Man, if there are 6 tracks that didn't make it, I damn well want to hear it.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to ask you a question. What did you think about Song for Ukraine, this instrumental track, being at the midpoint?
Yeah, I like it. To me, I think it's, I don't know. I could see that as a closing track. But I do like it. I feel like it's a cleanser. I don't know if that's a good word to use. It's like in wine tasting, you taste a couple of glasses of wine and then you have like a cracker.
Yeah.
I don't want to downplay how great of a song it is, because it's a great song, but it's also and I think Sid said that's their first instrumental. I was trying to think through their catalog and remember it. I mean, it must be true. Sid said it. So yeah, I think it's good. But like you said, ending with Tom's track is perfect. So in a normal situation, I would have liked that to be a closer, but in this particular situation, because Tom closes the whole thing out, and it's perfect way to end. I like it where it is like basically in the middle-ish of the album, and it's a great tune. There's some cool things going on in it.
And I really wonder if Sid is right, where people just kind of listen to tracks 1 through 5 and then cut and run. And I think they're really missing out, because you mentioned To the Manor Born.
I love that song.
And that song, do not sleep on the song. This is a Stephen McCarthy song. So good. And those lyrics will creep up on you.
Yeah.
And sit with you. I mean, it's the same with Country Blues Kitchen. That was another one for me that, you know, it was kind of a sleeper. And then like the third go around with the album, it just like boom.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wait, I need to hear that track one more time. Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to it in the car yesterday too, again, probably for the 5th or 6th time. Since my copies just came in since we got back. But yeah, I think it's a strong album through and through.
Yeah.
And I meant it when I said that everybody that we've talked to has said nothing but great things about it. So I often wonder, like, if the things that I hear, people are hearing the same thing. Like I mentioned, like I think they've spread themselves to do some new things on this. So I'm glad other people are hearing that. And then when I mentioned the correlation that I have personally with like the White Album, the Beatles, it has that kind of feel to it to me also. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one who thinks some of these things. So yeah, I agree with you on the sequencing that it's good. But yeah, I hope that I'm not the only one that's a fan of the album medium. And I know we're getting to more like it was in the 50s, 60s, where it's more singles based, and that's a lot to do with streaming. But this is a good album through and through. And he's right, those first 4, that's a powerful way to start the album. Seasons Change, come on, that's a great song too.
And I mean, Flying Down is another one to me that like, it's the first time I heard it, stuck with me, and I haven't been able to shake it.
Yeah, you won't.
And the same with Elmer Gantry.
Yeah,
Elmer Gantry is Alive and Well,
yeah.
which is pure social commentary. If you listen to the lyrics, you'll know exactly who they're talking about.
Indeed.
But
whether you're listening to it on 45 or 33.
Very, very true. Very true. I mean, look, they paint a very wide brush now in this album. And I remember reading a one review, and the reviewer, I'm paraphrasing, but the reviewer said they are redefining alt country, but they're like alt country with a folk spirit because they have a lot of things to say. There's a lot of social commentary in these, and it's a lot of meditation on life and death, on love, on loss. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and the way they express themselves is just, it's a solid album, and it's a great listen.
Yeah.
It's a great listen. And trust me, I saw the runtime was about 43 minutes. You will not know where 43 minutes went.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that it's as long as that, but which is
I
not
mean, it
that
definitely
long.
doesn't feel that way.
No.
You know, and then with an instrumental track also. And please don't skip that. Because as Jeff mentioned, that's a palate cleanser, one. But two, it like resets the energy, because the next 6 tracks really take you on a different journey. Lyrically speaking, musically speaking. The fact that DJ Bonebreak is on this,
Yeah.
playing vibes. I mean,
Yeah.
there's such a wealth of music and musicality on this. You need to hear this more than once.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. This album is definitely something that deserves repeated listens. And I mean, I've only had it in my hands since we've been back, Soraya, from the UK, so a week and a half. So I haven't had it that long, but I feel like this is the kind of record that will have sustainability. I don't know if that's the right word, but listenability for quite some time, as of most of the band's records. Whether it's their best and will end up being the best, I think Native Sons is hard to top, in my personal opinion. I mean, I like all their records; they're all great, including the 2019 psychedelic one. So, but this might be up there, definitely in the top couple for sure. At this point, we'll see in what I say next year.
I agree with you, and I think there's something to be said about that. What they give us. I mean, I find it funny that Greg Souders thought the title was appropriate because they're in the autumn of their career. No, I'd say if anything, they're still in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot to go.
Yeah.
And for our listeners in Europe, please go and see them, because they're not only going to be in the UK, but I think there are some Spain dates that I'm trying to remember. But there's quite a few European dates. Go see them. And for those of us here in the US, I can only cross my fingers. I love the idea of a summer tour. And he mentioned Peter Case, who I absolutely adore. So I'm like, that's a fun bill, no matter how you slice it.
Yes, I hope that happens.
And Jeff, you and I are not adverse to taking a road trip to go see a band, but it would be really nice to have them here in the US, in our own backyard, as Sid said, and be able to enjoy them. They're just so high energy, so much fun.
Agreed.
And thank you, Sid Griffin.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. And Jeff, well, we've talked to 3 of 4, okay, because we were very fortunate to speak quite more than once with the great Tom Stevens. We've also chatted with Greg Souders. Jeff, there's only one long rider left on our unicorn list, and that is the great Stephen McCarthy.
Yes.
Hopefully soon.
Yes. And we have hope, and we're in discussions, let's just say, and it sounds favorable. So
okay, wait. Before we end this, can we just go back to what Sid told us? That before Murray, he thought of Mickey Steele.
I was gonna say, sorry,
and he said, and that she was mildly interested.
Yes, that part surprised me.
You know what? When I think about her style of playing, I can see it. It's not that I can't.
Yeah.
I can see it. But wow, that was a name I was not expecting.
No.
At all.
No.
But I
Yeah.
love hearing it. But we know that Mickey Steele is living her life in the way that she wants and loves to live it. And I know and hope that Mickey Steele knows that we absolutely love and appreciate her, no matter what she does.
Yep.
In
Agreed.
or out of the spotlight. But
Agreed.
just hearing her name connected with the Long Riders,
Wow.
it made me just think of, I could so see her on stage. I could see her doing X, Y, and Z. I could see her just jamming. I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was a shocker for me.
That was very cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
But as we've said before, Murray Hammond does a very good job. And like Sid said, no one will ever take the place of Tom Stevens.
No.
But the spirit of Tom Stevens and the spirit of his playing, I think Murray comes in and definitely gives us what we need.
Yeah. And as we talked to him, he was a big Tom fan. So
yes,
and he said it wasn't easy to learn Tom's parts because Tom was a very good bass player.
Yep.
Very proficient and knows what he was doing. But he also wanted to honor Tom in his playing as well. So not a bad bone in his body, Murray, according to Sid. So
no.
and
neither was there a bad bone in his body, Tom Stevens.
Mm.
Good guy. He was great to us, and we're constantly grateful
yes.
for the time that we had with him.
Yes. Rest in power, Tom.
Absolutely. Oh, Jeff, this was great.
That was fun. People, get this now. If you don't own it,
go find it.
Yes, please. Today. Hit it.
You will love the listen.
Yes, indeed. We
All right,
guarantee it. All right, Soraya.
Mi gente, a groovear.
Groove on, Paisley people.
September, November is the new album by the Long Ryders. It's out March 10th worldwide on Cherry Red Records. You got your lyrics right there. You can download it. You'll be able to stream it. You'll be able to take a bite out of it on March 10th. Cherry Red Records. We're very proud of the record. The vinyl is ready and pressed up. You don't have to wait for it. There's a CD booklet with all the lyrics by Stephen McCarthy and myself. Greg Souders is our drummer, as you know. Murray Hammond from the old 97s will be playing bass on the tour. We're going to tour Europe in May, June. We're going to tour the United States sometime in July or August. And we're going to do another wrap around Europe in October, something like that, to wind the year up. But the album, September, November, we're very proud of it. It's on Cherry Red Records and Tapes. It's out March 10th. What else can I say but go, man, go!